Hello, everyone. Welcome to Helbine-7, but not quite. As you can see, we have a slightly different crew with us this time. Unfortunately, Emma, Taryn, and our illustrious Sam, they are all down and out for this venture, but never fear. We're going to learn a little bit more about our good friend Dawn, and a little bit about Dawn's crew here. But before we get into all of that fun gaming stuff, why don't we go around with the introductions? Hello, I'm Maria. I'm at Happy Gapster. I'm running this game, and it's going to be great and wonderful. I use she, they pronouns. Why don't we swing over to Corey?
Hello, my name is Corey Hicks on Twitters. My pronouns are he, they, and that's me. Should I introduce my character?
Yes, if you could introduce your character, their pronouns, and I guess like just a very brief overview of what you have created.
Okay, so today I'm going to be playing Connor O'Neill. His pronouns are he, him. He's impulsive, greedy, he has a big mouth, and he's very attractive.
Excellent. Let's bump on over to Alex.
Hi, everybody. I'm Alex. You can find me on Twitter at AxelAutoCure. I use he, they pronouns, and tonight I'm playing Rossum, an android who uses they, them pronouns. Rossum is among one of the last machines produced by Rossum's Universal Robots, which is where they got the name. And they are a pacifist and a bit of an engineer.
Excellent. And then, of course, Tim.
Hello, I'm Tim, and I'm playing Don, who is quite a, I don't know, well, how many years ago is this before the current campaign?
Well, this is the last job that you did before retiring.
So before retiring, so got brought out of retirement for the current adventure, but Don back in the peak of his day, so he has slightly longer hair and slightly thicker mustache, and looking as resplendent as ever in his weird leather-looking cardigan.
Excellent. Fantastic. So as was just described, this particular little snapshot is still set in the Cantalian system, albeit some years prior to where we met with our merry band of adventurers last week. Dawn, you have been an adventurer and acquirer of goods and possessions for quite a while. You're very practiced at your job, and you have your crew members now. Hang on, I'm going to get your names right. Connor and Rossum. Amongst the three of you, have the two of you have you all been in a crew together for a long time? Are they more new hires as the rest of your crew has dwindled in the recent future? Or have you all kind of been together through the thick and thin?
Let's say they're relatively new hires, been around the crew for about, well, relatively speaking, like the last year and a half. So they've done a few jobs, they've been around, they've seen some things, but may not know the full extent to who Don is.
Okay, cool. There is one other crew member that is with you, who goes by the name of Silas Flint. Silas Flint is kind of an antithesis, I would say, to Dawn a little bit, where Dawn tends to handle things with words and decorum. Silas prefers to handle things with a gun and a fist. albeit much to, I'm sure, the disapproving eye of good old Captain Don. The lot of you, specifically you, Captain Don, have recently gotten one of the biggest tips of one of the biggest scores, a big enough score that you could all retire until, as we cut to the future, you come out of retirement for an even bigger score. But the information that you have gleaned is that there is a transport that is going to be departing from one of the nearby moons, kind of towards the outer edges of the system here. A moon called Pardanthan. And it is supposedly carrying in it a wealth that is vast enough to make any person, or sparingly people, wealthy enough to live the rest of their days in like an Ebenezer Scrooge gold pile if they wish to. The specifics about the cargo are unknown. You do know the name of the ship is called the CS Immortal. You know where it is departing from, and you know it is traveling to Helbine. Beyond that, there is little information. You know that it is a fairly large cargo vessel. And you know the name of the captain of the ship. The captain is Stefan Brasburn, whom you know was ex-military, is known to kind of be a bit fierce at times. And that is the information that you are approached with. So the lot of you, do you all have like a secret moon base? Do you just kind of float around in your ship? This is what we're gonna figure this out now. So, Captain Don, actually, a good question would be, what is the name of your ship?
Bugger, what's it called? The Walrus.
Fantastic. I love it. So this ship that you have, for the sake of this, we'll say that you guys you're all on your ship. You've recently gotten this information. Perhaps you're in transit, perhaps you're just in waiting, whatever your situation is up to you. However, you realize you have options. You have a couple of options to approach this situation. And you have all met together in your own time. Dawn, you of course coming to this meeting first, as is typical of one of your prestigious station, and are very soon joined by Connor and Rossum. Connor, why don't you describe yourself as you come into this meeting to discuss potentially the last job you'll ever have to do?
So as Connor walks in, he's quite tall, and he has some curly blonde hair on top of his head. He's human, and he has sort of slightly rosy cheeks, very chiseled, very really leaning into his very attractive traits. It's, I think he walks into a room and he's stunning in that regard. he's wearing just sort of looks like he has some basic armor as far as like leather pieces that will help him out, leather coat, not a full coat, but mostly from like shoulders to his waist, a jacket actually, and he also has with him on his side a blaster pistol. Yeah, that's Connor.
Fantastic. So you enter, take a seat wherever you would like if you do sit. And fairly soon after, Rossum enters. Rossum, what is Rossum's MO? What does Rossum look like?
So Rossum is this sort of bald, sort of androgynous in the face looking android. They don't make him anymore. They don't make them anymore, and so they take great pains to sort of maintain their appearance because there's not an abundance of people who work on these anymore. They wear this, like the back of like a CD where it's reflective, but it also has that little rainbow effect. Yeah, they wear like this sort of coat with a high collar that's like that. No real distinguishing features beyond that. They're very uniform. The only thing that you would notice is on like the back of their neck, just peeking over the high collar, you can see the top of like an R that has been attempted to be scratched out, but it is still very much there. This sort of big black block print letter on the back of their neck.
Wonderful. I love all of you all already so much. All right. As the three of you kind of get comfortable, you notice that Silas hasn't joined, which is not necessarily unusual. He typically spends nights imbibing quite heavily and usually is the last to show up to meetings like this. What would you all like to do?
Suppose you know why we're all here then?
Yeah, what's this plan? Do we want to jump into it or should we wait for Silas?
Oh, have you seen him? How long's he been gone? When did you last leave? Like an hour ago, 2 hours ago?
I think he went out to get a drink.
Right. Well, we'll start if he turns up. He'll turn up. But if not, well, I'll just tell him later. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So we're going after the immortal. We know where it's going from. We know the captain. We don't know what's on there. But we do this. We all get out of here. We can settle down. We can retire. We can do what we like with the money. Just, we get it done. We have a nice, quiet life for the rest of the days we got. That sound good?
I had to think on it for a second, but yes, a quiet life and being rich for the rest of my life sounds pretty good.
All right. Well, all right then. Maybe not quiet, but you'd be rich. Which means if you do cause noise, you can get yourself out of the noise quickly if it gets too loud. Is that fair?
I like the sound of that.
There we go. Right. So, it's a cargo ship. We don't know what's on it. We know who's captaining it. We know where it's going from. Shall we attack it at the port, attack it in travel, or try and be a little bit more quiet about it? If we get too much heat, we may not be able to get away quietly. We get too little heat, then it's going to worry me. Supposedly, this wealth is enough for us to retire on no problem. So if they don't cause any problems, that's going to worry us.
I'm pretty adept at handling problems.
I know you're adept. I know you're adept at handling problems, lad. I know you're adept to that. But the question is, how much problems are we going to encounter?
Not more than we can handle.
We'll see. We'll see. It'll be fine. But so we know it's going out of. We know it's going out of Pardathan, right? We know where the captain is, so we can either take out the captain and have a conversation with him, sneak on, get it off before it leaves, sneak on, attack it mid-flight, or Hail Mary, running with the walrus and take it out mid-flight, and then gather it up afterwards. But I quite like my ship. I don't want it damaged. She's done me good. She's done me right. But you're my crew. Give me some options.
I like the head-on approach. Go in and take things. Rossum?
Well, I would prefer a negotiation if possible. You would both know that Rawson is bound by the 3 laws of robotics, so they are very much in favor of a pacifistic situation, or not allowing any human being or other sapient, sentient, biological creature to come to harm.
Right. So, we could try and negotiate. If the negotiations go a bit awry, we got to back up ourselves. We defend ourselves. But we don't try and provocate if we don't need to.
No. Not I.
I'm staring intently into Connor's eyes at this. We won't cause more problems than we need to. Do you understand?
Yes, yes, Captain.
Good lad. Right. And same with Silas. We don't want Silas going off and as well and cause more problems.
Do we think he's going to be drunk for this mission? What are the odds that happens?
I'll have words with him. He'll be as sober as we can get him. And if he's a little drunk, well, then I'll deal with that. All right. So, we start quietly. And if it needs to get loud, we get loud.
At this point, you hear the cargo door open, and you hear the heavy, non-rhythmic footsteps of an individual, and kind of peeking, slumping on the corner of the doorway into this room. You see Silas, kind of a slightly stocky human, kind of tangled dark brown, almost black hair, exceptionally pale skin, very, one would say a good amount of facial hair if it was kept in any good state. And you can see he is, in fact, holding some kind of a bottle with this bright, almost fluorescent blue liquid. And there is, the bottle's about yay big, and there's about that much left in it. And he slumps over and he says, "Did someone say something about being loud?" Because I am exceptionally qualified to be as loud as physically possible. Captain? And it's kind of like falls over slightly. I'm sorry I'm late. He kind of almost waddles to the table and grabs one of the chairs and just kind of flops down into it and looks over towards Rossum and just...
Right. You okay, Silas?
I'm great. I am ready for whatever future awaits for us on this here hunk of walrus.
What do you say, for the love of God, that's the only bottle you've had today?
That's the only bottle I've had this hour.
And the last hour?
Counting isn't my strong suit, Captain.
Your current and more immediate future consists primarily of liver failure and alcohol poisoning.
You know, you're so useful to have around, Rossum. It's just it blows my mind how much I learn from you all the time. Thank you. And just kind of slam the bottle down. So I hear there's treasure. Let's go get it.
Right. The plan is we start quietly, and then if we need to get loud, we get loud.
We get so loud. Did I tell you I got a new gun?
What's the gun?
It's a bit bigger than the last the last one. It may or may not shoot rockets this time.
It shoots rockets this time.
It can. Yes.
It's bigger than the last one, and it shoots rockets.
It's emergencies only, but I'll have it with me at all times just in case.
So that.
Just in case.
Please say you're bringing a smaller gun as well.
Oh, I don't go anywhere with just one gun. You know me by now.
Yeah, you're bringing a gun that fires rockets. Please say you're bringing at least a smaller, hideable gun.
I will make sure to pack my daintiest guns and the rocket gun because it's so pretty. It is so new. And I just wanna release it into the world and let you know.
Silas.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna start quiet, and if we need to, we will get louder. What are we not doing?
Not loud first.
There we go. All right.
Okay.
Right.
We'll just finish off the 2 gulps of this fluorescent blue liquid and just slam the bottle down and say, all right. Well, good talk. He just kind of stands up and definitely holds onto the table for a second. I'm gonna go lay down.
Good idea.
Know when we get there.
Right.
Cabin.
Go have a shower while you're at it.
And then he'll just kind of wander away, heading to his quarters.
He's got a half good idea. We should get some rest. Start early. We get in early. We get this done. And God willing, by tomorrow night, we can be nice, relaxed, wealthy individuals who don't have to work anymore and don't have to do this anymore. Sound good plan?
Rossum, do you need to rest?
No.
Okay. Interesting. I need to rest.
Right. You go get some rest, all right? And Rossum, since you do have to rest, lad, I want you to, during the night, try and find anything you know about the blueprints for this dock that we're going into. If we can try and find a way on as soon as possible, we'll get on what we can at the port. If not, we'll find a way on their routes to catch them en route. You know what to look for. Right. Jolly good. Right. And hopefully there'll be no violence, will there? Right. Well, have a good evening, lads. I'm going to walk off towards my cabin.
Connor will do the same.
All right.
I'll start doing some research, I suppose.
Okay. How do you want to go about doing that?
Is there any sort of like computing device on the ship? Any sort of like space internet?
There is in fact what one would consider a space internet.
All right.
The really World Wide Web.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So for this, I'll have you make a skill check.
Right.
Now, which skill you use is kind of you can make arguments for almost any skill, almost if it makes sense in context. Do you have any skills that would, in particular, you would find a little bit more helpful? Like how exactly are you trying to find this information? Are you just gonna be like skimming through in general? Are you going to try to do any sort of like hacking sort of things to try to like get secret information? How do you want to go about finding this information?
I think ideally I would like to be able to like go on whatever record I could find to find out like the model of this ship and then study the factory specs of it to know what it's supposed to be. So if they have done any modifications to it, I would not know that, but I'm more interested in sort of what is the most typical version of the ship they are using. That's the information I'm trying to find.
Okay. Let's see. So I think the most applicable skill would be research.
Okay.
Since it looks like you're trying to dig through, specifically as it says on here, the internet or other written sources of information. Do you happen to have the research skill?
I do not.
Perfect. So what you will do, you'll roll a d4 and a d6. You roll them together, and whichever one of them rolls the highest is the number that you'll choose, and you'll subtract 2 from whatever you roll.
Okay, sure.
You're looking to get a 4. That's kind of the baseline. If you get higher than 4, then it can get essentially like they're called raises, or essentially like crits. But let me know if you get double ones. That's very important. And then if you roll the highest number on a die, you just keep rolling that die and you'll just add it together.
Yeah. I rolled a 5 and a 2.
5 and a 2. Okay. So we'll take that 5 since it's the highest of those two numbers, and we'll subtract 2 from it, which is a 3, which unfortunately is not a success. Now, should you choose, you do have 3 bennies, and these bennies you can use to reroll things such as skill checks, or influence the story in small ways, things like that. If you would like to re-roll that, you can use one of your bennies to do that.
I think statistically, if I'm subtracting the 2, the only thing I can do is roll a 6, which I'm not feeling that great on the odds, even if I roll again. So I will accept whatever I got.
Okay. So finding the actual basic information isn't too terribly hard. It is a registered vehicle.
Mhm.
So you're able to find the kind of class ship that it is. It is a slightly larger cargo vessel. It doesn't, as far as you can tell, have much more installed artillery than just basic basic weaponry to kind of defend themselves. Nothing grand or too terribly dangerous in your experience. Beyond that, you know that, as was confirmed earlier, it is currently docked in, or the last registered docking place is in Pardanthan. And that's kind of all you can glean. You don't really get too much as far as the actual layout of the specific place. You're not exactly sure which docking bay it's in. You do find a general layout of the Pardanthan spaceport, as that's pretty common knowledge, fairly easy to find. But you're not sure which port it's docked in, what time it's leaving, anything like that, unfortunately.
I will trust Don to procure that information as he does. Can I attempt to use science to make any logical inferences about structures on the ship, like where are the vents? Stuff like that, deduce whatever I can about the vessel itself.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
I do have skill in science.
Yeah, so you roll your science skill die, roll that d6, take the higher of the two numbers.
I've got a 4 and a 1.
A 4 and a 1. Well, a 4 is what you needed to succeed. Doing a little comparison of general sketchings and blueprints that you can find of this model and similar models, you're able to roughly figure out different points of entry into the ship itself. There are some exhaust vents that would be a little bit dangerous to use, but could be useful. There is, of course, the typical entryway into the ship, which is a large hatch in the back. There's also a cargo hatch underneath. You would be able to know, on average, these ships are usually kind of like a double-decker situation. They hold most of the cargo in the underside, and almost everything else, including like engine rooms and everything like that, is the upper level. And you do know that should you need to, you could possibly also damage the main bridge area to the point where you could enter the ship that way, although doing so in strange space would be a little bit dangerous. As a note, if the as a reminder for Dawn and I guess technically a reminder for the two of you, space here is weird. There isn't like a vacuous, like on spaceships and around the ships themselves. There is kind of like in Treasure Planet, there is breathable, sustainable air, so you won't instantly die if you step out without like a spacesuit or anything like that. But you can be lost to the void of space if you do fly off into no gravity. Does that answer your questions about what you were trying to find?
I think so.
Okay.
The only other thing I would like to see, would I know on average what the speed of this sort of vessel would be as compared to the walrus? Would we have trouble catching it if it got ahead of us?
Not really. It can be used for long distance travel, but it is nowhere near as agile and as quick as your little walrus.
Okay. That's all I need then.
Perfect. Does anyone do anything else this evening as you are all resting / day if you're sleeping in the day during this resting period? Either alone or with other people.
I'd probably just using what common knowledge I probably have. Probably look at the roughly when would be the best time for cargo vessels to be leaving, going onto the spaceways, that kind of stuff. Like when's and making a good educated guess, and from my experience, like those kind of places.
Oh, perfect. There is wonderfully a common knowledge roll. So if you wouldn't mind rolling that common knowledge.
That's that and I got a 4.
A 4. Fantastic. Yeah, you've been around ships and ports for the majority of your life, at least the majority of your present life. And you're pretty confident at the scheduling of incoming versus outgoing traffic. You would know with it being a fairly large vessel, it would need to be allowed out during a less busy time. So either exceptionally early or kind of mid to late day would potentially be the best windows to get in there before it pops off.
All right, and then once I've let him get off to sleep, I'm going to grab a bucket of water and head into Silas's room.
Okay. It's a fairly small space. Has kind of like a one bunk that's bolted to the wall, where you see Silas just like sprawled face first on an arm and a leg hanging off, definitely snoring some. The room is a bit of a mess. There's just kind of clothes hanging everywhere. It doesn't look like they've really maintained a tidy ship, at least in their common quarters.
Right, seeing this, I want to get the bucket of water and chuck it over him.
Okay. You do that, and there isn't there is a more muted response than you anticipated at first. There's just like a very short moment of just no reaction, and then he starts flailing and coughing and just kind of like flailing all of the arms and legs, and then eventually just like Captain, I thought I was drowning.
I'm leaning very close to him and get within like an inch of his face.
It doesn't smell great.
You are not going to fuck up tomorrow. Do you hear me? We're going to go in, we're going to get whatever's there, and we're going to get out. Do you understand me?
Aye, Captain.
And to make sure that you do exactly that and nothing else, I'm going to make a little deal with you. Agreed?
What kind of a deal, Captain?
To ensure that nothing goes wrong, that you're sober, and that we all leave here with a bit of that treasure. Once we got away, you keep this ship.
What?
Once we get the treasure, and once we've got away, and we all go our separate ways, you keep this ship.
Captain, this is like my birthday. Why would you give this to me?
Like I said, I'm going to get this money, and I'm going to get away, and I'm going to have a nice, quiet life. You can do whatever you like. You can go around holding up ships, doing heists, all you like, making as much noise as you like. And you can have the ship to do it. Heck, people will still think that it's going on my reputation. They might even make it easier for you. But you take this ship. As a proviso, we get out of there, no problems.
I'm gonna have you make a persuasion check. And I'm gonna give you, make it with a +2.
Ooh. Ooh. And I get a free reroll. Ooh, that's a 9.
All right. So that is, you reached 4, and then you got 4 above that, which means you got a raise, which means, great success. You can see he looks intently at you, and then a wide grin comes across his face, and he says, "That's a deal, Captain." Kind of like a little, regaining a little bit of mobility, reaches a hand out.
We're agreed.
Absolutely.
Good. Enjoy your sleep. I'm going to turn and walk out the door.
All right. Door closes behind you. Anything else anyone else would like to do this evening? Fantastic. The night closes, and the morning comes. As uneventful as it usually has been lately. Rossum. I would like for you, what do you typically, you don't have to sleep. You don't necessarily need physical nourishment, things of that nature. What do you do to keep yourself occupied when all of these silly flesh-bodied individuals have to, take time to sleep and eat and such?
I like to imagine that I probably have like a task or two given from somebody each night, whether that's Dawn or somebody else who needs help. And beyond that, I don't know what shape the walrus is in, but my skills kind of indicate that I would be good at like maintaining the engines or like just keeping the ship running as a functional vehicle.
Perfect. Fantastic. There is a very kind of rudimentary AI that is on the ship. It doesn't have any sort of verbal component to it. However, you can speak to it. It does understand verbal commands to a certain extent. And it does kind of keep you company a little bit, I would imagine, during the quiet late times when you don't have much to do. It informs you of, once the day kind of begins, it informs you of the typical things that it'll inform the entire ship about. once everyone is awake. The current weather reports, the current status of particular trade values of like the highest traded items, essentially stock exchange. Any top 10 news feeds type situation. The most important one, though, that catches your attention is the weather reports. There is reports of a fairly intense scion activity that's going to be building up close to where Pardanthan and the surrounding planets are located. And they're anticipating that it's going to get fairly bad, progressively worse throughout the day, kind of reaching its zenith about evening, or, roughly 12, 15 hours from now.
I'm sure Rossum knows what a scion storm is. I, as Alex, however, do not. So what does that practically mean?
Practically, it would mean that there would be a decent amount of interference with a lot of your basic functionality on your ship. Your engines would probably still be okay, although that would be a decent amount of interference on things such as navigation, being able to see through this big cloud of basically space stuff. Okay. Being able to land properly. There, actually, make a I'll leave the choice to you. Science, you have science, so make a science roll actually for me.
Sure. I got a 6 and a 1.
Okay.
On D6s.
Then re-roll that 6 and keep adding that number to that 6.
6 and 5, so 11 total.
11, fantastic. You, Rossum, are aware of your ship. It's kind of you're like part of the ship. You know it that well, and you are fairly familiar with most weather patterns. And putting those together, you are fairly certain what could happen to your ship should you stay too long in this kind of ion cloud space stuff storm. There's a chance that your engines could fail. You're pretty confident you might be able to get them back up and running to the point where it's not too much of a detriment. The most worrisome thing is things such as life support and gravity. Whether you have gravity on the ship or not, it's up to you.
Not worrisome to me.
Well, this is fair. Should you look out for your fellow crew people? Life support's kind of important for them. Yeah. There is the very, very, very small chance that it could ignite the fuel cells in your engines, and it could cause fires and or explosions. But that is that is the most minimal chance. There's been very, very few reported incidents of that happening. Now, whether it's because no one survived the fiery explosion that happened afterwards or not, it's a very, very slim chance of that happening, but it is in your mind.
Okay. Based on what I looked at last night, would the ship we're looking to get on, would that face similar risks? And would a ship of that class generally fly through that or make adjustments?
You're fairly confident that it is a heftier ship than your smaller Walrus. But due to whatever cargo might be on it, it's safe to bet that they would probably make some kind of adjustments. Given the trajectory that you know that they are coming from and going to, they're coming from Pardanth and going to Helbine Prime, you're pretty confident that they would have to skirt fairly far around the storm to either catch the edge of it or just completely bypass it. And it would definitely lengthen their trip, probably by a day or so.
Okay. Then I will, as soon as he wakes up, go to Don and give him the report on the situation. Like, oh, there is a 0.3% chance that our fuel cells will ignite. There's an 82.5% chance our engines will be killed for some quantity of time. There is a 24.7% chance that our life support system will fail catastrophically. Like, go over the list of the risks of flying into that. But then I would also like to inform Don that there's a very little chance that our target would fly through this, and attempting to force them into it could be a strategy.
Don's just woken up and just hearing all this at once. He's like, wait, hang on. Right, so if we manage to make this cargo ship go through this storm, there might be a chance it'll be easier for us. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that the storm would likely be very frightening to all on board this cargo ship, or at least the science officers, who I am sure would inform the rest of the crew, and it might be a valuable asset should you elect to communicate that with them and give them the option of submitting to the walrus or going into the storm.
Okay. That's good to know. That's very good to know, actually. Right. And wait, hang on. It'll blow us up, though.
Yes, it would. Well, there's a 0.3% chance that the storm will ignite our fuel cells. It would be preferable for all involved should we not bring the walrus into the storm.
Mm-hmm. Right. I like that. Right. Yeah. Right. Don's just thinking of a way we can blow up the walrus now, so you don't have to give it to Silas. Right. Okay. So we part the walrus in the dock. We get onto the ship, make the ship go into the storm. Then we use a lifeboat from the cargo ship to get back to the port with take the walrus and get out of here.
How, Maria, how viable would it be to take a space lifeboat out through the storm?
Carrying over I'm gonna just carry over your science roll because it was a pretty good one. It's definitely possible, especially if you have someone who is very good at fixing mistakes as they happen quickly. It has a high chance of risk, as lifeboats are not exactly meant to be exceptionally durable.
Mm-hmm.
But you're if it's not too deep into the storm, there's a higher chance that you could statistically survive.
Okay, sure. I'll communicate that.
So I didn't hear it's impossible.
It is not impossible.
And is it within your skills to keep a said lifeboat going should we escape a storm that way and things start going wrong?
I believe so.
That's all I need to hear. Do you want to take the ship down to that port then? And then we can get this going.
That does seem preferable.
All right. to the you have the helm.
All right. I do have some. Oh no, I got rid of my skill in piloting.
Connor's a pilot.
Yeah, I'll assume we actually do have a pilot. And I will go fetch the pilot and ask them to fly.
The pilot is called Smee.
It's fantastic.
So I go check on the pilot, get him to bring us down.
Cool. Connor, you're what does Connor do in the morning? What is his morning routine?
Connor wakes up. He does a lot of push-ups, a lot of sit-ups. He has one of those over door things that you can do like the chin-ups on. He has a whole exercise routine. And then he goes to the kitchen and he makes a space shake with lots of protein in it. And he goes back to the cabin to read the news, and that's his routine.
Okay. As you're reading the news, why don't you roll for me a perception check?
Ooh.
I believe notice is what it's called in this particular section. Shistrum.
Let's see. Okay, not great at that, but we'll give it a shot. So I've got D4 and a D6. I rolled a 3 and a 1.
A 3 and a 1. Okay. Cool. So it seems like typical news to you. Nothing too terribly interesting. There are some minor squabbles on some of the trying to parse out this new trade route that's going to be going through most of the Cantalian system. There's some new developments about the Interstellar Coalition on Helbine Prime, that they are starting to go through this revival period, trying to introduce the idea of unification to the entire system. There's a bunch of advertisements from the Crichton Corporation, which is a giant empire of spacecraft manufacturers, kind of showing their newest lines of ships. But nothing terribly, besides that, nothing terribly exciting or interesting is sticking out to you.
Yeah, Connor doesn't read the columns in too much detail, and he goes over and he gets to the spaceship section. He's just like looking at some spaceships and they're like, oh, this would be nice to buy with all this money. Oh, this is a nice purchase.
Fantastic dream cars. Yeah, there's some pretty pricey ones in there. Some like nice small, essentially 2-seaters, like land speeders, all the way up to just gregarious and large transport vessels, all and everything in between. But awesome. you do during this period of time where you're fawning over future purchases, you do get interrupted by Rossum in some way.
Captain asked you to take us down.
Yep, all right, let's go. Let's fly this ship.
And as we're going back to the helm, I would like to give Connor the same list of statistics that I gave Don. There's an energy storm in between us and Parnanthin. There's a 0.3 chance our fuel cells will ignite upon contact with the storm. There's a 24.7 chance our life support system will critically fail. And just like give the list.
Or yeah, what does that mean?
Don't fly into the space cloud.
Got it. All right. Connor will take the ship and we're flying it into the dock. Okay.
Okay. So you're flying it to Pardanthan and then docking it there. Cool. As this is something that you've done frequently, normal piloting is like super easy. You can do it in your sleep, which I'm sure you have done before. So getting close to Pardanthan isn't necessarily difficult. However, this storm hasn't fully reached what one would consider critical mass by the time that you get close to it. And you all, those who are looking out onto this view, can see it is this strange dark discoloration. It's not like what one could consider typical clouds. It kind of looks almost like you're staring at this vast starscape, and then there's just this empty void. And every once in a while, you'll just see this kind of shimmering, almost faint iridescent, just kind of a flash or a flicker through it. And you all have at least seen or heard about ion storms before. I don't know if any of you have actually seen one before, and it looks like it could eat you alive. But go ahead.
Do we have like comms that we can like tap and speak to each other with? Is that a thing that exists, or do we have to go?
You do now.
Yeah, there's something out here that looks like it's gonna eat us alive. We should just keep that in mind. It looks like an ion storm.
It'll be fine. We got more chance of blowing up in another storm than we do being eaten by that one.
All right. I will have you make a piloting check to kind of subvert the storm. There is a slight kind of the very, very edge of it is just between you and the port where you need to go. So I will have you make a piloting check to see how well you not crash this baby.
Okay. So I got a D6 on that. I rolled a 5 and a 1.
5 and a 1. Fantastic. That is a success. So you're able to pilot it as close to the edge of this storm as possible. Every once in a while, just barely dipping into it. And as you do, you kind of notice the lights kind of flicker a little bit. Some of the panels and navigation that you're using kind of just like very, very briefly gets a bit of static on it. You feel just a little bit of resistance as you're steering the ship, but you are able to make it through with fairly little harm to your precious boat. Go ahead.
Connor's, just as he's driving and these lights start to come on, he's going to take his the space newspaper and just going to cover those up. Oh, there we go. Solved. Everything's good.
Best pilot. Perfect. As you approach the Pardanthan spaceport, you are asked for the registration of your vessel, the name of the captain, before you are given clearance to land. Do you give them the name of your ship and the name of your captain?
I'm going to give them a fake name and a fake ship name.
Okay. What name do you give them?
It's going to be Captain Smollett. And riding the CE Destiny.
Perfect. I can spell it. That's fine. I know what it says. Wonderful. You're given clearance to land. They give you, we'll say port 72B. And
Quick question.
yes.
Does our vessel say the walrus on it anywhere?
No.
I had a feeling the answer was no.
I just wanted to make sure.
I mean, if we wanted to, we can have one of those like revolving nameplates with like selection of. Yeah, actually, let's have a revolving nameplate. It was the walrus, but as we came into view, it's now Destiny.
Okay, it could also be like an LED screen, if you
Yeah,
wanted, or just like a
rolling.
yeah.
Let's do rolling.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's gonna be rolling then. That's what you could afford at the time. You just haven't changed it.
I'm a frugal captain.
This is true. This bare bones crew. So rolling nameplates. All right. Perfect. So you flick a switch and it changes to now the CE Destiny. And Connor, you get it nicely settled in. The crew that is working the spaceport begins to start refueling it. All that necessary nonsense. You guys, welcome to Pardanthan. At what time of day would you have tried to arrive? Or what time frame, I guess day is the easiest way to keep track of this.
Probably be like if possible, like one of the first ships in of the day. You know, not a lot of people around. You know, literally a skeleton crew. Everyone important hasn't turned up. So you're not dealing with management. You're dealing with a guy who's just coming in like, I just want to go to bed.
This is like the 3 a.m. airport crowd.
We are those dicks who come into the shops as it's closing or opening. We're those guys.
Okay, fantastic.
Yeah.
Yes.
Don's probably gone below and put on underneath his leather vest some kind of like formal attire to make him look like Captain Smollett.
All right.
With a space version of a tricorn hat.
I mean, it can just be a tricorn hat.
A tricorn hat with like LEDs that go around the edges that change color.
I love it. I love this aesthetic that you have going on now. All right. The captain gets up in his getup. Silas has through the voyage just kind of been sitting off by himself, close to the I almost said piloting chamber, the cockpit area, the whatever it's called, where you would fly the ship, and has just been seemingly in his own world. You can see that he has this scrap of paper that he's just been writing things on every once in a while, but besides that, has just kind of been strangely quiet. But you all disembark. Where would you like to go? Silas, by the way, does bring the bigger gun, but he has it disassembled in a kind of like a travel case.
The travel bag full of nice new weapons. Yeah, that's
all
right.
the important things.
As soon as we disembark the ship, I'm gonna go over to like the first, guy I see and go, "Hello there. We're looking for an old captain buddy of mine from the military. Do you know where Brassburn, Stefan Brassburn? Do you know if he's here? Has he been by or?"
You approach this kind of very, very tall, three-limbed individual, kind of like this pale yellow skin, You can see that kind of from the temples down the side of the neck, and then presumably down the shoulders and the tops of the arms are just these dots that are just kind of pulsating this bright orange color. And they are currently in the process of lifting this seemingly heavy container and just kind of peer over top of it at you and look around, and seeing that there's no one else here, kind of gingerly puts the box down and pulls out the equivalent of a Palm Pilot, and kind of taps on it, and then with its third hand, it's just kind of scratching their head. They look through. Yeah, there's a brass burn. The mortal. Looks like they're in 12C. Not supposed to be departing for a bit, so you probably could catch up to them.
That's very good of you, lad. Very good of you. Now, carry on. Do a good job.
Carry. I'm just gonna bend down and pick up this heavy box and begin carrying it elsewhere.
It's like, right. Looks like we're going to 12C then. Just walk towards 12C.
All right. Finding it is not terribly difficult. Things here are decently well labeled. It is a fairly large spaceport. 12C happens to be about two stories up and across a decent walk. But you all make it there, and as you get closer to it, it begins to get a little bit the sorts of people that are around are a bit more particular about how they dress, and appear to be of those of which money is not too much of an obstacle. However, it is still very early, and there is not a lot of them around. You can tell, though, by the couple of ships that you can see that are parked in these different ports. There are some that are fairly small, but exceptionally sleek and sexy. And then you can see there's this just essentially a cruise ship, but in space, that is just taking up multiple different, probably about 7 or 8 of these docks. And majority of the small amount of foot traffic here seems to be mostly centered around that particular ship. But finding 12C, you do find it. The ship itself, there is almost no one around. Actually, everyone, why don't we all make notice checks? We'll see if you see anyone around.
Rolled a 2 and a 3.
Okay.
A 5 and a 6.
Was the 6 on a d6?
No, it was on a. It was a 5. The 5 was a. Yeah.
Perfect.
Shit, hold on. I rolled a 3 on my regular dice, and then a 6, and a 5 on my
Shit. Okay.
little dice.
Okay.
Yeah.
He sees the void.
Okay. So that's 17. So that is a success followed by 3 raises.
I see the very rolls overlay.
Yeah. Who is Alex? Why is he controlling me? Yeah, the rest of you do notice a couple of work hands who seem to be just shooting the breeze, gossiping to each other, not really paying too much attention. Rossum, you do see you all do see the ship. It is here. It is docked. It's fairly large, taking up about two of these docks very comfortably. And you can see, Rawson, that there are lights on in the ship. You can see that there is light coming from the bridge, or what you have seen, at least in your blueprints, to be the bridge. What you do also notice is that this particular vessel is much heavier. It has much heavier weaponry than a standard cargo vessel. You also see, and it looks like it was deliberately kind of painted into the Crichton Corporation logo, kind of hidden amongst those letters, almost intentionally hidden, is another smaller symbol. Where is it? The symbol looks to be of two white eyes, kind of surrounded by this almost like a mist or smoke. I would like for you, based on that information, to make for me what would be the best one? I'll say a common knowledge roll will probably be the best.
You're muted.
I'm muted. I got a 5 and a 3.
5 and 3. Okay. You haven't seen this very often, but often enough. You know that this is the symbol of the Phantom Marauders, who are, you all are kind of an independent company, of, mercenaries and ne'er-do-wells. The Phantom Marauders are, one of the most powerful, underground, kind of like mafia, pirate mob sector, that kind of has started to cause some ruckus on Helbine and seems to be en route to not conquer it, but take a good chunk for themselves. That is what you know. It has both the Crichton Corporation as well as a symbol that seems to be of the Phantom Marauders. What you do with this information is up to you, my friend.
I'm gonna wait until I have a time to like speak about this privately, but I definitely intend on sharing this.
Fantastic. So you are all at least within sight of the vessel itself. Before we decide what to do, we're going to take a quick break. Quick bio and other break. Someone needs some drinks. So we will be back in about 5 minutes or so. Don't go anywhere. This is going to get really exciting really, really fast. So we will be right back, everyone. Stay toasty. Hello, and welcome back. So, you all have just arrived at the Port 12C. You see before you the rather large CS Immortal. Nearby, also a giant cruise liner, and a very small amount of people milling about. What would you like to do? You can see
Could we-
Silas is kind of just like eyeing the vessel from afar, just with like a disinterested look.
Is there like the equivalent of a pop-up Starbucks stand nearby that we can go just stand near and look, have a quiet conversation?
Sure. Yeah, there's a couple. There's not many of them that are set up. You can see that there are stands and stations along these long corridors. A lot of them are empty and kind of closed down. There are a couple of them that seem to be open. Some of them serving things of coffee nature, coffee, other energy supplements. Some that are serving more alcoholic beverages, and you can see that Silas is just kind of eyeing them and like looking longingly in their direction.
Every time Silas looks at it, I try to catch his eye. What's we're in like one of the quieter ones. We're gonna just say, right, how do you want to do this? Attack them now, steal it now, escape on that cruise liner, attack the cruise liner.
I would prefer we do not attack the cruise liner.
Agreed. While it's
I think-
quiet, we can sneak on now.
I do think things have changed a little, and I will relay all the information I have about the Phantom Marauders. About seeing their little symbol on the ship we're looking at and everything.
Well, Booker.
How dangerous are they?
Make a common knowledge roll for me.
All right. Do. I rolled a 2 and a 7.
7. Perfect. You know they like to keep a lot of their business out of public eye. The kind of everyone is aware that they deal a lot in transporting of goods. You probably have had a couple of run-ins with them. They part of their business, they do specialize in smuggling of various items, sometimes people who wish to not be seen and or tracked. They are also supposedly information brokers, will buy and sell information for people or for favors. All in all, not necessarily people you want to get on the wrong side of if you can avoid it, or if you do happen to get to the wrong side of, make sure you're on the other side of the galaxy.
Yeah.
If you get caught.
Right. Well, it sounds like maybe they're a bit more of a prepared bunch, but I think we should be able to sneak on and handle it as we need. It's a bigger problem, but like we said, we'll handle the problems as they come.
Rossum, you said you looked at the schematics, yes?
I did.
Did you find what's the quickest route to get to the cargo hold?
They have a cargo hatch on the very underside of the ship.
Right. How big is it?
It's quite
large. It is the
quite
largest entrance onto the
All
ship.
right. Okay. Was there anything to indicate from the schematics that there might be another cargo hold within a cargo hold?
Not that I could determine.
Okay. Right. Let's sneak on quickly. All right. And then, sort of, what are the colours of the Phantom Marauders? If they have colours.
They, like yourself, don't really fly colors. This particular vessel, seems to be flying the colors of the Interstellar Coalition at this present time.
Which are?
The Interstellar Coalition is kind of one would say used to be the second most powerful group of individuals, specifically on Helbine Prime. They are presently seen as a little bit fanatical. They are the biggest proponents of this idea of unification through body and mind. If we unite as one in both body and mind, we can have a true society. Doing that via augmentation, like mechanical augmentation. So, if we all have this ability to communicate with each other, then we can all be of one mind. If we do not have to worry about the degradation of our body and our organs because we have pieces that can self-sustain, then we can all be of one body, that sort of thing. And at this point in the canonical history, they're kind of seen as unfavorable by most, mostly in their ideological standpoint, not necessarily because they're dangerous per se.
Right. Well, I'm gonna set the colours of my tricorn hat to be that of the coalition, so it looks like I'm a member of the crew. And just gonna go right. We're getting quickly. We find what we need to get, and we get out there quickly. Do we understand? Right.
And what if everything goes not quickly or quietly, Captain?
Then, providing it wasn't one of us who didn't make things go quickly or quietly, Silas, we shall deal with that problem. But if it was one of them that caused us to not go quickly or quietly, that's a different situation now, isn't it? We get in quickly, we get in quietly, we get out quickly and quietly. And we don't go looking for trouble.
Yes, sir, Captain.
Is Silas still drunk?
Silas does not appear to be as drunk as they were last night. You don't think that they're drunk.
I buy espressos for all of us. And buy an extra one. And get the barista to hastily scribble down the Captain Brassburn's name.
Okay. Perfect. You have space coffee.
Oh, it's Spacebucks.
Space bucks. Yep. Canon now.
Spacebucks. Parfadon spice latte.
Perfect.
All right. Go right. Quickly, quietly. Let's get on that ship.
All right. You all head over to the CS Immortal. You can see that it is currently the two kind of station hands who are here seem to be kind of checking over everything now on the ship itself, making sure that the fuel line is still connected. You can see one of them is on one of those similar small tablets. Seems to be kind of perusing over something and then kind of looking up at part of the engine and then perusing again. How stealthily are you trying to get on this ship, and what is your plan of attack?
Is there like a crew entrance?
There seems to be. Make a notice check for me.
Okay, that's a 5 and a 2.
Okay. With a 5, it's a success. You see that there is currently the main hangar entrance is closed. But you can see kind of nearby it, just on the side, there does appear to be a smaller entrance that does also look closed, but you can see a small keypad next to it.
Right. So plan, if we can do it, is does Rossum or Connor, are they good at hacking? Keypad. Rossum hacks. We stealthily quietly go in, go down, find the cargo, get out. If we can't find the cargo, we go find the captain, ask the captain nicely to help us get the cargo. We leave without anyone knowing we were there. Maybe? That sound good?
I think so.
The voice of the captain. The confidence of the crew.
Yeah. Right. Let's go do that then.
All right. You make your way to this side entrance, and Rossum, you see the keypad. It's not, you're familiar-ish with most forms of entry. It's not exactly the highest of tech, but you can certainly attempt to hack into it. What does it look like when you hack into something? What do you use?
Well, I think that does, to some extent, depend on the form of the thing I'm hacking into. So, like a computer, I imagine I do it just like everybody else, where, like, I sit down at the computer and, go into 90s, movies, hacker mode,
Mm-hmm.
all that nonsense. But with, like, this keypad, if it's just a keypad that has no information processing, or, like, communication things, I basically like screw off my fingertips and like insert the wires and do it as like an electrical thing.
It's fantastic. I would love for you to roll hacking for me.
All right.
Well, really, it's for you, but
2 5s.
2 5s. Excellent. Yeah, without too much trouble at all, you're able to essentially just short circuit it just for a second. Not enough to fully damage it. You're pretty confident in that, but just enough, cross just a wire, just a little bit to get the door to just slide up and open itself, so that you can see into the ship.
All right. I screw my fingertip back on.
You are fully fingered. Oof. All right. You find yourself on the main part of this ship. You do know from just looking at the exterior of it that the cargo hold is somewhere underneath it. But as you enter, the the space in front of you is fairly open. You can see that there are quite closely within sight. You can see that there are two openings on both the left and the right walls of this interior chamber. There's two sets of them. One fairly close to you, and then one quite a distance away. There are some steel walkways that appear to be walking over an opening that seems to look down into this lower section. You can also see two closed doors that appear to have these red lights over top of them. You also everyone make another notice check for me.
3 and 1.
That's a 10 and a 5.
Oofa.
Still muted. 2 and a 3.
Okay. Dawn, you seem to be the only one who can hear from the open doorway just to your right. You can hear the sound of two voices talking to each other quietly, but not like in whispered tones. Just kind of in a groggy state. Appear to be coming from whatever room or chamber is nearby you.
Okay. Right. Rossum, you know the layout of this ship roughly, yes?
Yes.
Right. Connor, Rossum, go down to the hold, search the hold while it's quiet. Okay? If you find anything, link it back to us, we'll meet you down there. If you need anything, we'll get it down there. Silas?
Yes, Captain.
We're going to quietly go and see what's happening behind that door. Okay?
All right.
Right. If you need anything, lads, let me know, and we'll rendezvous. If you encounter any noise, be quiet as long as you can. All right? Good. Right. Break.
And all right. Fantastic. So, Rossum, you would know roughly that there are, now that you can see the interior of their ship, there are two relatively straightforward ways to get down to the cargo hold. You're fairly certain of the two doors that have these red lights over top of them. The one on the same wall as this room with the voices probably leads down to the cargo hold for certain. You could possibly also jump from these walkways that appear to be over top of the open cargo hold underneath. You could potentially drop into it, should you so choose. Although with it being a fairly open area, it might be a little bit easier for people to see. And then you could, in theory, try to find another route via the ventilation system, or another clever way of trying to find a way down there.
Is there like a maintenance closet or anything nearby?
There is that second closed door that you're not entirely sure what could be behind that. there are these two open room areas, or rather these two doorways on either side of this large open chamber, that, based on your knowledge, might be kind of engineering, where like the large engines for the ship are located. And you would know on the very opposite end of this main long stretch is the door that would lead to the bridge.
Okay. Have I seen anybody like doing just like regular like loading and unloading of the stuff on this ship? Have I seen any just like menial workers?
I would say you would have seen maybe one or so as you guys were approaching the ship. One, maybe two, very infrequently, bringing some things into the ship, but not a whole lot.
Okay. Then one of the things I did purchase was a smart suit, which can like change color and gives me extra stealth. So I will activate that to look like just the most regular of maintenance workers, and hopefully just like walk straight by to the cargo hold like nothing's wrong, past the room with the people in it.
Okay. You're not being particularly stealthy. You're just being a normal individual. Let me see if this would apply. No, that doesn't apply. Okay. What I will do? Does it just change your attire?
Sorry, let me pull it up.
You're fine.
Okay, yeah, they can change basic color, adding +1 to stealth rolls.
Okay. Okay, so it's kind of like a cool. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense that you could kind of change it to, I mean, it might not be an exact replica of like
Sure.
uniforms or anything like that. But yeah, I'll say for the purposes of this that you can make a stealth roll. It's not necessarily you being sneaky, but it's less of a performance aspect and more of making yourself less noticeable.
Yeah. I got a 5 and a 2.
5. Okay. Yeah, the rest of you watch Rossum kind of their clothes shift colors and slightly alter what fabric it looks like it is. And you just watch them almost nonchalantly, almost bored, walk past the open doorway. And you kind of hear the conversation just lull for a second, and then you hear it pick back up again. As Rossum, you make your way to the door, and it slides open as you approach it, and you are at the door. There is a staircase that begins to just lead down, get to a landing, and then it turns and it seems to lean down again.
All right, yeah, I'll head down.
Perfect. Connor, how would you like to go about getting down to the cargo hold if that's where you still wish to go?
Did I see any people when Rossum went through there?
You did not see any people. you did, because the conversation stopped and started again, I'll say that you probably noticed that there was some conversing happening in that side room.
Okay. And just so I understand, if you go by the side room, you would be visible first before continuing to where Rossum was. Okay. Connor's gonna do a similar thing and just walk by, and if they notice, he's just gonna be like, the maintenance worker made it by, so presumably other people can.
Okay. I too will have you make a stealth roll. Excuse me.
Oh, I rolled a 3 and a 3.
Okay. As a reminder, you do have 3 bennies should you wish to re-roll the skill check.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do that.
Cool.
Okay. Those were both 4s, so I'll re-roll. Oh, okay. Rolled a 7 and a 6. So.
Oh, perfect.
Not much better.
Well, it's definitely a success, which is what you needed. You said a 7.
A 7 and a 6. That's a success?
You just need a 4 to succeed.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, so since you rolled 2 3s before, it was definitely not a success. So you did get it a success.
Okay. For some reason, I thought they were subtracting in it. Okay, I understand now.
All right. So a little bit quicker than perhaps your more nonchalant friend. You do kind of just make your way across. They don't seem to notice anything wrong. You do kind of see that they, after you pass, or as you're passing it, kind of leaving their line of sight, you can see one of them just kind of like very briefly glances over to you. But at that point, it's just kind of the back of your head. And you don't seem to have garnered any extra attention. And the same thing, you join Rossum over there. The door is open or opens again if Rossum has stepped through.
Yep.
The two of you descend into the bowels of the ship. Meanwhile, as they descend into the bowels of the ship, so, Captain,
Silas,
what exactly are we going to do? I, of course, will follow your lead.
we're going to go around the door and see who's there. And if it's someone we can use, we shall use them. We just want to make sure we know where everybody is and that no one's going to cause any kind of alarm. Agreed?
Agreed. And kind of just gestures forward for...
Right. Let's go then. And go through the door where we heard the voices.
Okay. The doorway, as you enter, it opens up into this kind of almost oblong shaped room that you're coming into from the bottom side of. Directly in front of you, and also to your left, you see this very large cylindrical portion of the engine that is currently also sticking out the back of the ship. You can see that on the ground in front of it is kind of taped off with caution tape, big square around it. And just on the other side of that square, slightly obscured by the engine itself, you can see 2 figures. One of them appears to be working on something on the engine itself. You can see on the floor next to them appears to be a tool set, some tools scattered about. And the other one is just leaning up against the back wall, kind of talking almost to themselves. They both appear to be in a similar uniform, although the one who is currently working on the engine itself seems to have partially like rolled up their sleeves. Seems to have a unbuttoned part of the shirt that they are wearing. The two of them are the one who is working on the engine itself is a fairly medium build Rakashan, a feline fur covered individual, a very large mane of hair kind of pulled back very haphazardly and tied away from their face. But a very, very strong, slightly wide jawline. And you can see kind of poking up underneath the shirt that they have, partially untucked, is this kind of long tail. They have almost this lion look to them. And you can see that it's kind of twitching a little bit in annoyance. As the two of you enter this room.
Right, so they're both... Have they noticed us walking in?
Nope.
Okay. Right. Silas, do you think there's any way you can quietly sabotage this ship from in this room? Like, I don't know. You see, we know you like explosions, yes?
He kind of just like absentmindedly taps the satchel that he's carrying.
Yeah. Not that. Is there a way we can leave a nice present to go off when we're not here? As a bit of insurance.
I can see what I can do. Probably.
Good. Good. You do that, and I'll distract these two. All right?
All right.
All right. And I want to go down and approach these two.
Okay. All right. You kind of skirt around the rest of this large engine. And while you do that, Silas kind of counters you and hugs the wall to get closer to the engine itself. And the last thing you kind of see before you make your way all the way around is that they are kneeling next to what appears to be a small grate and are currently trying to pry the grate open, having set down their case next to them.
Ahoy! How goes it?
The Rakashan, who is working on the engine, kind of just glances over. Hey! He just yells at at their friend behind them, who seems to be a humanoid, female-appearing figure, who has this bright, almost fluorescent yellow hair that is just abnormally long, like almost down to mid-thigh. And almost human-like features, except they are exceptionally too angular. Everything from like the jawline to just the brow bone, everything is just a bit too pointed. And she's kind of with like a foot on the wall, hands kind of crossed in mid-sentence, just kind of looks over and says, ahoy?
Ahoy! It's a sailing term to denounce welcoming to the fellow passengers of the spacefaring sea.
I don't recognize you. Are you a new crew member?
Yeah, I was just been they added onto the crew just as we got into dock. My name's Smollett.
I feel like there's not a deception roll. Interesting. This system we have. Hang on. Nope, there's not.
Can I persuade you that it's my name?
Yeah, I'll say persuasion because I think that's the only thing that is applicable here.
Ooh. Oh, bugger. That's a 15.
Jeez. All right.
Expensive as fuck.
All right. She kind of squints and looks over to the rather larger feline form who's there, who had kind of had their hands up and kind of had moved one of them down to where they have like a wrench in their pocket, and they both kind of share a look, and he takes his hand off his wrench and just kind of wipes his hands on his pants, and he steps kind of over the tools and then over to you, standing like half a head taller than you are, kind of looks you up and down and says, hello.
Hello, I'm Smollett. What's your name, lad?
Well, they call me Jess.
Well, it's lovely to meet you, Jez. What seems to be the problem here?
Just making sure it doesn't overheat or anything when we get. It's been through a lot. This old vessel.
Yeah.
Trying to keep her on her last legs, but you know, times are hard.
You'd think carrying lots of cargo, they'd take better care of the ships now, wouldn't they?
You would think so. And the neon-haired girl comes over and she says, I don't think they take care of this ship very well at all. See, we're new here too.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
I didn't quite catch your name. What's your name?
Oh, my name is Clarice.
Right, Clarice. Right, Clarice. I'm Smollett.
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 That's such an interesting name.
I know it's from a little known planetoid off far reaches just outside Helbine. No, it's a lovely little place. You'll love it. You should go visit it one time.
Oh, I should do that. Maybe when this job is done, I'll do that.
Yeah, look, I've not been told much information apart from we got a lot of extra cargo up this time.
Right. So here's the thing. I don't know. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, you'd think that with the amount of cargo that this ship has, that we'd have a bit of a shipping manifest somewhere, or some more information, or even where we're actually storing a lot of it, because we seem to have an awful lot of storage, but not a lot of cargo.
Yeah, I mean, you can see most of the storage, and it's mostly just boxes and crates and things of that nature. But there's not. I don't know what's in the boxes, and I know that for a while, when the ship was being loaded, no one was allowed on it. So
that's a bit strange. I mean, I know this may be your first time on this vessel. It's not. It's been my first time in a while, but. If we had any more extra security on here for some reason, because I'm used to flying cargo vessels back home, and we don't nearly have much security on as this one has this time.
Yeah, I don't know why. I've not really asked about it, but I mean, we were all very much. It was very much told to us that we wouldn't, or rather, we shouldn't bring any sort of extra weaponry or anything, which I thought was an odd request considering of the vast amount of cargo that we were taking with us. But a job's a job, and you have to get money where you can.
If there's no way to defend ourselves, then what are we going to do? You know, it seems a bit weird.
Well, I mean, there are folks who are on the ship who could protect us if anything were to happen.
Whereabouts are the? It sounds a bit strange, but you know, because you've been on the ship a little bit longer than me, is there any way that we've been told to definitely not go?
Well, they said if we don't have to stay out of the cargo hold. I mean, we have to go in there every once in a while just to do,
Of course, of
make
course.
sure that there's, not stowaways or anything strange like that. But for the most part, I mean, they tell us not to really go down there, which again is kind of strange to me, but,
I mean, I haven't been down to the cargo hold yet, and I've been told to go down there. And I just want to make sure that if there's somewhere in the cargo hold I'm not meant to go within the cargo hold itself. Is there any? I don't know. It sounds strange, I know, but like, is there like a vault somewhere in there that I'm meant to avoid? Or anywhere they've got, these, the extra militia like guarding this place that that have to just, just stay, keep a good like ship's breadth away from.
There are a couple of folks who are there all the time. Now that I think about it, they don't really leave.
That is strange, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's strange. Whereabouts in the cargo hold?
I suppose it would be on the north side, almost underneath where the bridge is. Probably.
Right, that's good to know. I'll make sure I avoid that. And
they're kind of scary looking.
Aye, but all these all these lads with guns, they're always a bit scary anyway. But this needs someone a bit more charismatic to go talk to them, don't they?
I think that sounds like a grand idea. You seem like a very nice individual.
Oh, you're so kind. You're so kind. I've just met you. Oh, but I won't keep you I won't keep you up any longer. I'll let you get back onto what you're doing. But it's good to meet you, and I'll see you around the ship.
All right.
All right.
Good to meet you.
Good to meet you too. Smollett, yeah, that's it. Right. Well, tatty bye. I'm gonna walk off, and when I'm just walking up, I'm just gonna quietly onto the comlink, just go, Silas, we're leaving now. Connor, Rosam, north side, underneath the bridge. There's supposedly lots of people there. Rendezvous just outside there in a minute. And just walk off quietly. Get out of the way.
Yeah, as you walk past, are you going down to the cargo hold, or are you just kind of walking back off the ship, or where are you walking to?
Going down to the cargo hold.
Going down to the cargo hold. Okay.
Yeah.
As you walk past Silas, you can see that he is currently in the process of putting that grate back on rather quietly. It seems that he was efficient in his job, and kind of eyes you over and gives you just a nod.
Good lad.
The two of you who have headed down to the cargo holds, you make it down the stairs, and there is an open door at the bottom. It seems to be propped open, and you can see in front of you a large kind of mismatched jumble of boxes. Various sizes, kind of different markings on all of them. Some of them, or most of them, metal. There are a couple of wooden crates, which is kind of a strange oddity to see in this current day and age. Not unheard of, but very infrequent. You can see to your left, kind of down maybe about 20 feet or so, is another opening in the same wall that you came from. You can see directly opposite of that opening is an identical shaped doorway. And to your right, kind of seeing just past some of these boxes, you can see what appears to be just the wall of the ship, but there are about 4 individuals standing in front of it, 2 of which are very openly armed. And at just about Well, I wouldn't say this point. There's a little bit of time before you get this information relayed to you, unless you were hanging out in the hallway, waiting for any sort of message coming from Dawn.
I don't think so. Yeah.
Okay.
So there's cargo boxes in here.
Mm-hmm.
I'll look to Rossum, and Connor will say, do you think we should take a look inside these boxes and see if this has anything to do with what we're here for?
There are a great many boxes in here. I feel like it would be more efficient to find a shipping manifest or registry of cargo on board.
Or do you have any? Yep.
I was gonna ask. Okay, sorry.
Go ahead. You go.
Are there any like space iPads around, or like other sort of like things one might use to log cargo?
Why don't you make a notice check for me?
Two fours.
2 4s. Fantastic. Kind of glancing about, you kind of take a minute to look about, and you do see one other individual who seems to be in this room. Looks similarly dressed as the two that you briefly saw as you walked past, and might actually be one of the few individuals you saw carrying cargo into the ship.
Mm-hmm.
You can see that they appear to be kind of leaning against kind of between like the corner between a large pile of boxes and the wall of the cargo hold, and are kind of just like standing there a little bit slumped and appear to have been dozing off. And you can see kind of close by them on top of one of these boxes appears to be some sort of a tablet device.
I'm going to point it out to Connor. Do you think you could retrieve that?
I think there is a chance. I think I could get a hold of it.
I sort of like step back and motion for Connor to proceed.
All right. Connor will head over towards where the little security device is, and he's going to walk up very confidently and see if they notice him.
Okay. You would know doing so may also make you noticed to the individuals on the far side of the room. There is a small amount of gappage between some of the boxes. You could, if you were a bit more precise with your movement, possibly move around these boxes to kind of hide yourself a little bit better, should you choose. Or you can trust fate to see if they'll notice you at all.
I don't want to be sneaky, but that seems like a good idea.
What does Connor think?
Connor does not. Connor's walked by people here already and feels confident that nothing is a problem, and he's just gonna, if anyone looks, he'll give him a good and keep walking.
Okay. Okay. Of the 4 individuals who are standing by the door, the one who's kind of slumped doesn't seem to notice you at all, on the opposite side of this room. Of the 4 who are kind of standing in front of this wall, 2 of them kind of see you. One of them is just kind of like absentmindedly just kind of looking and just kind of just like does a double take, and then just slaps the shoulder of the second one, who is like, yeah, I see. And one of those two of them happens to be carrying a rifle, and is gonna say, "Hey."
Oh, yep. Just here to talk to them over there.
They are going to begin to approach you. They are roughly 40 feet away from you. But the one with the rifle, they all notice you now. And the two of them that originally noticed you are gonna continue walking forward, and say, "You're not supposed to be down here." And as an aside, the four of them do not bear any resemblance in appearance, clothing-wise, as the other crew members that you have seen here. They all seem to kind of be in like mismatched attire.
Are the people that I'm walking to also in mismatched attire, or are they in?
It appears more uniform.
Okay. Connor will just look back and say, "Oh, nope, just routine check. Have to go talk to some of the crew over there."
Okay. Make a persuasion check for me.
Okay. Since Connor is attractive, he is good at that. With my +2, I get a 5 and a 7.
Okay.
From being attractive.
Wow. That 7 is nice. All right. They kind of slow their walk a little bit, but still seem to be pressing towards you. No one has weapons trained on you as of yet, but the one who shouted at you before, kind of a dark-skinned, almost reptilian, kind of like a dark green. You can see just mild scales kind of going up. Their hands are completely covered in scales. And they say, "If you're checking in with the crew, why aren't you in uniform?"
Well, actually, I'm not a part of the crew. I'm just here from the docks. We're just doing a routine, check through. Gotta give it a quick round and make sure everything's okay.
Rossum, what are you doing at this time?
I would like to hide.
All right, there is a stealth check that I would love for you to make.
All right. And I will engage my smart suit once again to like match the color of the boxes to get as sneaky on that as I can be. So I rolled a 4 on the D4 and then a 6 + 2 on the D6.
Okay, if you rolled a 4 on the D4, you can actually re-roll the 4.
Yeah, yeah. So 12, 13.
You are invisible even to yourself. Yeah, you find one of the boxes close by, and you're able to kind of wedge yourself in what one would consider an uncomfortable place, but to you, discomfort is not necessarily a terrible thing.
While I'm back there, I would like to communicate all this situation out to Dawn.
Okay.
All the guards, Connor being seen.
Okay. I think how this translates is you guys kind of talk over each other. So you're both relaying the same information at the same time, and you both are aware the other person is talking, but you're also talking at the same time.
Right. Just hold on, bear in a second. Is there a way to get from that overhang down on top of the guards currently engaged with Connor?
Yes. I will say that there is.
Okay. I'm gonna get just like Silas, go down the long way and you cut him off from escaping. Got that? No violence.
He was reaching for his pistol and he just like rolls his eyes and then starts walking towards the door.
I'm gonna head towards the overhang. And then if I'm directly above them, I'm gonna unfurl my wings and then putting out 2 pistols and jump off that bridge and descend slowly on top behind them with guns pointed.
All right. You can do this. What I would love for you to do, are you doing anything to get their attention?
Just be like quietly, like just descend stealthily on top of, like behind them if I can, with just guns drawn, and then land slowly before I get their attention.
Okay. For that, I will have you make a stealth check. Meanwhile, whilst you're positioning yourself, Connor, they're within about, I would say, 10 feet or so from you. They don't seem to see or notice Rossum at all. You can't even notice Rossum at all. And they just kind of like looking you up and down, and they say, well, if you have to make your rounds, make it quick.
Connor is just like, who is sassing me?
Who dares?
He'll go and walk up to the actual crew and approach them.
Okay. They have since kind of like been jostled awake by the noise and are just kind of looking around in like a dazed, sleepy confusion. And they're just
There's
like
2 of them, right?
There is 2 armed and or semi-armed individuals who are watching you, and then there is the uniformed not
Okay.
officer, but yeah.
Oh, okay, got it.
Who's just kind of like the one who was kind of sleeping, the crewman, the true crewman, is kind of just like sleepily, just kind of like standing up, just like,
I'm here for the inspection.
What?
Ease yourself. You seem like you had a rough night. I just need to take a look at the little terminal over there. Routine check.
I'm gonna have you make one more persuasion check against this super sleepy person.
Okay. Oh my. That's a 12 and a 10.
Oh jeez. they just like kind of just like reach for it and kind of push it a little bit, and it almost falls off the box that it's on, and they just kind of like grab for it and then just hand it to you.
Yep. Excellent. Yep. Looks like. Oh, is it locked?
They just kind of reach over and like poke in a pattern that is kind of not decipherable, but it's just like random points, it seems, on the screen, and it just opens.
Okay. And then Connor will just sort of like casually start like poking through and be like, yep, yep, yep. This is gonna take just a few, maybe half an hour or so. If you just want to just sit back and relax, I'm just gonna make sure we've got. Oh, looks like you've got your good security there. Awesome, excellent. Check. All right, and he's just gonna sort of like stumble. He's gonna move a little bit around and see if there's any reaction.
Yeah, the two of the two armed individuals are keeping fairly close to you. They don't let you go more than about 10 feet away before kind of following, escorting you, so to speak.
In that case, Connor will just like try and find something about the ship's manifest and see if he can just flat out like read what's in there.
Okay. It's not. I don't think it's too terribly hard to find. About this time, Dawn, you are in position. Should you wish to descend with whatever you rolled.
23.
Jeez, calm down.
2 8s and a 7.
Wow.
I am the knight.
You are the knight. Hail Satan.
Hail Satan.
All right. Like a majestic bat gliding down from the sky, guns wielding, you just float like this strange ethereal being. Has the rest of your crew seen your wings before?
Nope.
All right. For sure Rossum would see it, as they're kind of hiding and are hyper aware of everything at this present time, presumably. I would, I mean, Connor, you might see this as well, if you are looking, but yeah, okay.
Reading the thing.
Gotcha.
I note the wings and increase Dawn's chance of survival by 6%.
Excellent.
Perfect.
Are you trying to land on the ground behind them? Are you trying to land on any of the boxes? You basically have your pick.
Ground behind them.
Okay. You land very softly and delicately behind them. And as you're kind of peering through, Connor, you do see the ship's manifest. A lot of it seems to be hardware supplies, so like things like circuitry and metal piping, metal plating, various screws and bits and bobs and things of that nature. Everything seems fairly ordinary, except for 3 things. They are all, instead of having like actual descriptive terms, are just labeled alpha, beta, gamma. And there is no record of where they are being kept.
Okay.
The kind of mildly reptilian fellow is just kind of tapping their hand, which is leaning on the rifle they have slung around them, and is gonna say, "Is this gonna take too much longer?"
Do you have something to get to?
We have a ship that needs to take off.
I suppose. All right. I think I've seen everything I need to see here. I still have to go check another level. Just need to talk to your main cargo crew by the cargo door. Thank you for your time, and Connor will put the terminal back. And
you definitely would see Dawn at this point. Then, as soon as your eyes are like up, they are there resplendently.
Yep. Connor's just like,
Yeah, the wings fell back in, like the leather vest it was before.
Connor will just keep walking, like, great, awesome.
Okay. Are you walking back to the door that you came from? Are you walking? Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I'll look for Rosin on the way.
Okay, make a notice check for that. Walking that direction, you would inevitably walk past Dawn to get back to that door as you had kind of walked a little bit away from it. What did you get for your notice check?
I got a 4 and a 1.
4 and a 1. Okay. Due to their stealth roll earlier, you do not immediately notice them unless they make their presence known. What is noticed by everyone around is John, who has just appeared.
I have the night.
You're something else. The two who had been so carefully pursuing you, Connor, kind of are turning with you to make sure that you go, and definitely see Dawn fairly close by, holding 2 guns. The one with the rifle already out, kind of instinctually goes to train it towards you.
I wouldn't do that if I were you.
Make an intimidation check for me.
Oh, God damn. I'm not intimidating.
You can certainly try, though.
I'm very not intimidating. I got a hang on, I need to mine's intimidation. I got a 2 and a 1.
Well, at least it wasn't 2-1, so you're okay there. I don't think it deters them from training the rifle at you. And the other who's here seems to have their hand on what looks to be some sort of a long metal baton or stick. Hasn't managed to pull it out all the way yet, but definitely has it very ready.
Yeah. Right. Here's what's going to happen. So you are going to let us in to this hold and find the 3 packages that we are looking for. You are going to do this, and you're going to do this for a certain reason, because unless you show us where it is and let us get off here with no problem at all, we're going to set off an explosive somewhere on this ship. And when that happens, who do you think is going to get blamed? It's not going to be us, because we weren't here. It will be you. And I have a feeling that if you're going to get blamed for something, it's going to be a lot worse than if we got blamed for something. I mean, we're not here. You left your post and I appeared.
Almost at this time, you hear a voice pipe up from the doorway, that says, "You should probably listen to him." And you see Silas just kind of leaning against the doorway, kind of tapping on their shoulder what appears to be a detonator of some kind.
Do we have an understanding?
The 2 of them kind of glance at each other, and make a let's see, everyone make a notice check.
4 and a 1.
It's a 9 and a... Oh, I could draw that again. Yes, 2 9s.
Uh, 6 and a 3.
Okay. You all do notice, Dawn noticing first, that the, well, here's the different things that you notice. Dawn, you notice that the 2 people in front of you, kind of share glances with each other, look back at you, and then kind of look over your shoulder. And you see a very, very slight head nod. Connor and Rossum, and also Silas, you all almost simultaneously see coming from around the boxes the other two guards who were there. One has a rifle similar to the one that is currently trained on the back of Dawn, and the other appears to have a small pistol of some kinds.
Right. This can go one way or the other. I am asking nicely. I haven't fired a shot. I got in here with no problems, you didn't see me, and I got this close to you. Who's to say that there's not something else on this ship hidden away that can cause a nice little explosion and cause you to get into a heap of trouble? Is it really worth losing your lives over whatever's being stored here?
Make a persuasion check. I'll say add +1 due to the fact that you did in fact set a bomb, and Silas is there with an explosive.
That's a 10 and a 1.
10, okay. You see hesitation in the two in front of you. The one who was going to pull out the metal stick kind of just like looks at the lot of you with growing concern and puts it back and just kind of like throws her hands up. And the reptilian individual is like, what do you do? I'd rather not die. And you can see Connor and Rossum from your vantage point, the two who are kind of closing in, do kind of have like a moment of strange hesitation as well. Something about what you said and how you said it seems to have struck a chord with all of them, although they're not immediately running from your sight. There's a small beat, and then the scaled individual is kind of nervously like twitching, says, if you weren't here, we weren't here either. And just kind of
course
nods, and the lot of them start making their way past Silas, who just kind of very slightly turns.
Before you go, where is the stuff we're looking for? And you weren't here, and we weren't here.
It just kind of nods to that seemingly solid wall in the back.
My regards. Toodle pip.
While this is happening, could I attempt to go for the space iPad and see if I can find like a personnel registry and see if I can scrub these guards from it?
Ooh. Okay. Yeah, are you trying to do this without being seen, or are you just going up to it?
I mean, at this point, I don't really care about being seen by the guards, but I'd rather not be seen by the ship staff.
Gotcha.
Yeah, because the guards are doing their thing. I don't really care about them at the moment.
Okay. Yes, I'll have you make another stealth check for me then.
Sure. That's a 4 and a 1.
Okay. You definitely make yourself at least partially visible to the your companions and these guards who are currently vacating up the stairs that you all came down. They do kind of notice you and then just kind of look as they walk away. But it doesn't appear to have garnered any notice from the staff member who's here, who's just kind of like got leaned against the wall and just kind of like shrunk down into a little ball to try to avoid all of this potential gunfire that's happening, this gun brandishing. But yes, you were able to acquire the tablet. I would say you can find the crew log. I don't think you necessarily have to roll for it. I don't think this is a particularly challenging thing to do, unless you are trying to wipe it from not just the ship's log, but from like more extensive data banks or anything like that. That would require a roll. But if you're just doing it from like the internal.
Yeah, I'm not aware of any other location this information might be.
Okay.
So I will just scrub it from the ship's log. But before I do, I would like to see if I can't get like any contact information for one of them, send them the updated ship's log without their names on it. And like the subject of the email is like, "You were never here."
Okay. I think that's easy enough to do. I think you're able to find some rudimentary, essentially burner phone information. Send it off to them. You don't get any sort of response or reply back, but
sure, they're occupied. I just want them to know.
Yeah. You are successful. All right.
Good. I'm just gonna walk over to the crew member that's trying to hide and go, "Hello. What's your name?"
Zax.
"Hello, Zax. There's nothing to be afraid of. You're not going to come to any harm right now, are you?"
I hope not.
"No, you're not going to come to any harm. That I can guarantee. What I am going to ask you to do is you're going to open up the hatch quietly and you're going to walk away. Okay? You won't get harmed. I won't even remember your name, Zax. Nor will I find the information of where your family is. You're going to open the hatch and walk away, and none of this ever happened.
Okay.
But if you tell someone about me, then I will find you. Do you understand?" That's very good of you. Now go open the hatch, and then it'll be like a bad dream. Okay?
They're already like scrabbling up as you're finishing.
Good.
And they head to a fairly large panel that it's in the side of the wall here. And press about 3 or 4 buttons and then pull this lever. And you kind of feel this like slight shift as in the floor the large hatch that is also surrounded by this caution markings all around it begins to slowly slide open.
While that's happening, we're going to head towards that wall that got nodded to us and try find a way to see if there's a handle or a switch or something to open it.
Okay. upon immediate glancing, it looks like just a fairly smooth, unremarkable metal siding. I would like for you to make a notice check for me. That good old perception.
Ugh. No, that's not good. That's a free. Actually, I'm going to spend my Benny.
There you go.
Ugh, I'm going to spend another Benny.
Yep. So long as it's not a critical failure rolling
Not
2
a critical
ones, then yeah,
failure.
you can spend as many
It's
as you
getting
want.
It's getting closer.
Ooh.
Oh, that's better. Yeah, that's an 11.
11. Okay.
11 and a 7.
Perfect. So it takes you a second, and you kind of get like, you know, those like little floaties in your eyes when you're just a little bit too tired or stressed. You kind of had that situation going, and it's just a little bit distracting for a moment, and then you notice in this this kind of like metallic paneling, there is one bit of the paneling that's just slightly off colored. And upon further inspection, you can see that it is in fact depressing it lets it slide to the side, and there is in fact another more sophisticated key input device.
Okay. Right. Rosson, you are needed.
I will come out from whatever hiding space I am in and begin to attempt to hack into this thing.
Fantastic. This one definitely appears. It's either biometric in nature, or otherwise has something. It's more of like a touchpad screen than it is like a mechanical number pad.
Yeah.
But roll them hacking skills.
Ooh, that's bad. I'm gonna spend a benefit there.
All right.
For sure.
All right.
Ew, that's the same thing. I'm gonna spend one more.
Okay.
That's a lot better. That's a 5 and a 4.
Okay. Yeah, and you kind of like Dawn have this moment where you're just kind of strangely confounded just for like a brief moment, just kind of staring at it. And then your processor kind of picks back up, and then you're like, "Oh, well, of course." And it is successful. Tell me how it is successful.
So what I would like to do is I would like to basically get into the memory banks of this thing to see like if it's a biometric thing and it's like a wall panel. I imagine it's like a hand scan. So I would basically like to read what the handprint is supposed to look like, and then like modulate the fine lines within my hand to match that, and then press it.
Fantastic. In doing that, you also are able to see past logs of who has opened this door. There is only one name and only one person who has opened this door, and it is Captain Stefan Brasburn.
All right. I will communicate that to Don.
Well, let's get past this door and relieve the captain of his possessions, shall we?
I believe we shall.
We shall.
Okay. With that, you slide your hand onto it. There's a brief pause, and then the screen under your hand goes green. And the wall begins to kind of, you see these seams that were seemingly part of just this metal plating, and it begins to kind of collapse into itself very slowly and open up. And behind it, you can see a space beyond. And you can see that there's a stack of about 4 boxes in the corner, but that is not what catches your eye, the 3 of you. You see in here 3 about 6.5-foot long cylindrical pods. All three of them have this kind of bluish glow to them. They all have a panel of some translucent material that is kind of where this blue glow is coming from. You can see that this panel seems to have a frosted texture to it. And there are two of them that are kind of together off to the left, and then there's one of them by itself off to the right.
These are presumably alpha, beta, and gamma? Or is there somewhere we can? Okay.
I'm going to go check the one on the right and, like, try and wipe away the screen to see what's in it.
Okay.
While they're doing that, if this is like a large cargo ship, are there any like space forklifts? Like, are there methods of moving things around of this size if this is a cargo freighter?
Yeah, and you can actually see that the two on the left-hand side are actually sitting on what you would know to be essentially like a very rudimentary hovercraft that can be used to transport large items.
All right, I'll begin looking at that.
Okay. Kind of trying to wipe away, and you do manage to wipe some of it away because it is frost. It is quite cold to the touch. And kind of wiping it away, you see something inside. Some sort of a black, almost chitinous looking carapace inside of there. It, from what you can see, almost looks like it could be like an exceptionally elongated bipedal cockroach.
That's unexpected. Okay. And can I just assume that this is cryogenics?
It seems that way.
Okay, right. So we have 3 cryogenically frozen cockroach men. Okay.
And you can also see at this point on each of these three chambers is the sign for alpha, beta, and gamma.
Okay.
Captain, I'm a little bit worried about what we just found here.
Yeah, you're telling me, Connor. Right. Trying to play this into my code of ethics now. Damn you, Maria. Damn you.
I'm just trying to push all your buttons. It's all good.
Oh, right. Okay. We're gonna load them onto the hovercraft and take them out.
Okay.
And as soon as we get out of the docking hatch, as we're doing that, I'm gonna get Silas to walk off the ship.
Okay.
We're gonna go through the hatch. And then I'm going to get Silas to blow it.
Is there a tarp or a blanket that I can cover these cockroach men as I drive the space Kubota out of the ship? I will
Sure.
literally spend a benefit in order to get.
Yes. All right.
I'll
Yes, I will
get
say
carved.
yes. If you spend your Benny, there is in
All
fact
All right.
a one of the crates. Connor
Space
lets,
Topple!
yeah,
Go!
Connor lets you know one of the crates is in fact filled with like kind of like a surplus of I don't know what tarps are made out of. Thick material that you can use.
Yeah. So I will definitely hide our cockroach men under that, and drive the space Kubota out.
Smart. Very smart. Smart choice. Good choices are made here. Okay. Anything happening in the interim between loading and blowing up?
I'm just gonna go relay on the comlinks. Be like, okay, this is not what we were expecting.
You are all within like
Yeah.
the same
Right.
area.
All right. Right. Not what we're expecting. We don't know what this is, but being back at the Walrus with all this, and you two stay with Silas. Get back to the ship with this. Stay with Silas. Silas,
Captain.
we're honoring the agreement.
I say.
This gets back to the ship. Do what you want with it. This is your reward. All right.
All right.
Once they're going out and size the front door, I'm gonna try and head to the bridge.
Okay. So as they're loading it up, or as they are exiting.
As they're exiting, I'm gonna head towards the bridge.
Okay. What are your specific instructions regarding blowing up the ship?
I will message.
Gotcha.
I will give like a signal to blow up the ship.
Perfect. Okay. You.
But before that, let's just turn to Rossum and Connor and go. Be good, lads. You worked hard, and this is your reward. Fortunately, it splits evenly 3 ways. All right. Take it. Do what you want with it. If you want to stay with the Walrus, stay with Silas. But that'll be all with me. All right.
It was definitely a pleasure working with you. A little bit unexpected cargo, but we can figure that out later. Really glad got some nice cars that I want to go buy after this.
Well, if you're quick about it, you could probably nick a car from next door in the car park, can't you?
Depending on how quickly I can sell these, yes.
Good lad. Good lad.
Captain, I would request permission to stay with you for the time being. I have only been able to function in this line of work because I was employed by somebody who placed value in the life of other sapient, sentient, organic beings.
Silas pops up and says, "Hey."
Under Silas, I do not believe I could fulfill the first law that I am bound by, which is that I must not injure another being or by inaction allow a being to be harmed. I would like to stay with you for the time being.
Okay, Rossum. Then your first job is to go up to the engine room. There's an android and a Rakishan in there. You go there and you get them off. Because we don't want them to get injured now, do we?
No, sir.
Once they're off, meet at that space box. And I'll meet you there, all right?
Yes.
Right. And then I head off up to the bridge.
All right. Making your way up to the bridge is almost as easy as it was to make your way down here. The crew who are here, you can see the familiar face of Jazz, who appears to be crossing from the engine room where they were at directly across to what appears to be an identical doorway. And they kind of see you and they just kind of nod. But to the right from the door that you come out is a large open door through which you can see the bridge beyond. The bridge currently looks to be one of the more populated areas, in that it has 3 people in it. You can see that there are 2 almost identical looking individuals. They appear to be that kind of tall, slender, multi-limbed race of people. One of them has just kind of these kind of helix spirals kind of going around one arm. And you can see that they're wearing kind of asymmetrical leggings, and one of their legs is mostly exposed. You can see the helix kind of continuing down the opposite leg. The other seems to have wearing kind of a backless shirt, seems to have almost like featherless wings of this same kind of iridescent pattern on their back, kind of like strange leafy veins almost, with the pattern just kind of collecting near where the vertebrae would be and then just descending straight downwards. They are on opposite ends, both working at a computer terminal. And then at the front of the cabin, you can see a human man, fairly tall, probably about 6'6", 6'7" or so, broad-shouldered, has kind of almost shoulder length, slicked blonde hair, has a set of glasses, very pristine, gold-rimmed, very almost too decadent overcoat to them. Looks kind of like a cross between a snotty businessman and a pirate captain.
Okay. As is there like a fire alarm on my way in that I can just pull?
Yeah, there can be like a in case of emergency press button kind of situation. Okay.
Just press the button and like
Okay.
running panicked.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you go into the bridge before you do that, or do you press it as you are?
Do it before I go into the bridge.
Okay. You smack it, and immediately these siren alarms start blaring. You can see just red lights start to turn on, and you can see that the door to the bridge begins to close. Almost as if it's
I get
going
on the other
open.
side as much as I can and sort of go, everyone get off the chute quickly! Quickly, there's a problem! Everyone get off now, quickly!
The 2 who are on the computers kind of look up startled and see that the door is closing, and the two of them quickly just
All right.
don't even think twice about it.
As soon as,
Okay.
as soon as they've gone, I'll look at what I'm assuming is the captain.
It would appear that way.
I go, Captain Stefan Brassburn.
They're facing away from you, looking out the viewport with their hands clasped behind their back. Go ahead.
I pull out my guns as I walk towards him. I go, are you Captain Stefan Brassburn?
There's a brief pause as they just kind of tilt their head up and sigh. I am.
In my line of work, I abide many things I don't like. What I can't abide is people trafficking other sapient beings. You have just been doing that.
Kind of
So
looks. Oh, go ahead.
So the last thing you're going to see is Captain Abaddon of the Walrus walking towards you as he extinguishes your life.
He kind of just glances over his shoulder at you, and kind of chuckles slightly and says, "It seems you have earned your name, dread pirate, Blackwing."
And I'm going to shoot him in the head.
Okay.
I don't know how to do this.
Well, here's the thing. Do you have shooting skill?
I do.
Well, that is very good. That is a good thing to have. Okay. So for this, I believe you just roll your shooting skill.
Okay.
Just like normal.
Okay.
You're essentially trying to hit, at the very least, hit their parry score.
Okay.
So high is always good.
Okay. I also get a +1 because my guns have laser sights on them.
Yes, they do.
Ooh, I'm gonna spend my last penny to reroll that.
All right.
That's good. Okay, that's a 7.
A 7. Okay. I'm pretty sure that does it, but I will double check just in case.
I'm gonna check the next thing while I'm at it.
All right. Yes, that will hit them.
Okay.
And then I think you do roll damage, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. I'm just getting my next edge up just in case. That's 2d6 plus 2. Oh, that's 10 points of particle accelerator pistol damage.
Okay. Were any of those sixes?
Yeah, 6 is 6. Yeah, roll
Then
that again, yeah.
Yep, you keep rolling it. Everything
Oh,
explodes.
right.
Everything
14.
explodes. 14.
That's 14 then.
Oh, dear Lord. Okay. So here's kind of how, just as a brief summary of how combat usually works, you have to at least hit their parry, kind of like AC, when you hit, and then you have to beat their toughness. When you beat their toughness, you have to then deal usually 1 wound. The captain had 3 wounds. You rolled how much? 12?
14.
14? Okay.
14, yeah.
So you needed an 8 to get past their toughness.
Yeah.
And then 3 more after that, and they're dead.
Oh, so they're dead in one shot.
They're dead in one shot.
I don't have to do my 2-gun kid then.
You don't, yeah, unless you really want to.
Okay, I'm using my 2-gun kid to shoot the window.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Just so I've got an escape plan.
All right. So first shot, as they begin to say something at you, you shoot. Where specifically are you aiming for?
Forehead.
Forehead. Okay.
Yeah.
Straight and true. You manage to just puncture a new hole in their head.
And also keep on heading towards him and towards that window and trying to shoot away out the window.
Okay. Easy enough. As they fall backwards, you just begin unloading into the window. Don't necessarily have to roll for that. It's a window. You do hit it. And you get it enough to the point where there's just this lattice work of cracks. You can see small pock marks where your fire went through. And easy enough, you can just kick it or shoulder it or anything to
shoulder, wings unfold.
Okay. And you are out of the ship.
And heading off somewhere to go hide.
Okay.
And as I'm doing that, just like over the comm links, is everybody off?
Yep.
Yeah, and you could Rossum, you easily find them.
Yeah.
They're not exactly the most inconspicuous individuals.
Yeah, and I'm just walking straight up to them. I'm like, there is a 96.3% chance your fuel cells will explode in the next 5 minutes. I'm just like taking them, bringing them with me. I'm not even asking.
And then like, Silas, blow it.
The last message that you hear from Silas says, "Can do, Don." And then an explosion happens. It is bigger than you wanted it to be.
Oh, I should have expected that.
Yeah. But it is contained to the ship itself. It doesn't seem to get too much extra debris all around. But almost immediately there is response to it. There are people that are running and screaming. Definitely a lot of noise coming from near where the cruise liner is. A lot of screaming coming from that direction. And fairly soon there are officials and emergency response coming to this vessel. And Abaddon, where do you go?
Like fly towards roughly where the buildings were, try and get into an alley, take off the hat, take off the officer where I've got underneath the wings, furl the wings back up, go and grab Rossum from the space box during the panic and say, "We're leaving now."
You're leaving now?
In all the chaos, disappear.
Okay. And from an audience standpoint, the two of you side by side as this cacophony, this more crowded now than it was when you got on the ships, is bustling back and forth as the two of you start walking away, and eventually just disappear into the crowd. The last successful job of the Dread Pirate Blackwing. And we will see what happens with that in present day, because boy howdy, oh boy.
Yeah, that was different.
That was something. That definitely isn't going to have any ramifications in future games at all. Well, thanks for sticking through so that we could see this all the way through to fruition. Thank you to my stand-in players, Alex, Corey. You're amazing. You did
I was
so
really
good.
glad to join.
Amazing.
So good, so wonderful. So as a wind down wrap up, let's go around one more time. Give us your names, where people can find you, a favorite moment if you have one, and we can go the opposite way around. Tim.
Hey, hi, I'm Tim, at Anonmarth on all the social interwebs. You can find me here every Monday playing Don, who I've just revealed his full name now, and the fact that he has wings, which I wasn't planning to, but the other players don't know that yet, so that's good. You can also catch me here on Variant Rolls on Fridays at 4 p.m. Central, as this week starts the Courts of the Shadowfey game, which is I'm really excited for. Like, just I'm ultra excited for that. So catch me here on Fridays, here on Mondays, and just chat to me on Twitter or whatever if you want. That's me.
Yay. Alex.
Hey everybody, I'm Alex. You can find me on Twitter at axolotl_cure. I'm really the only thing I'm up to is Invisible Sun on Saturday night. We do As the Suns Burn here, As the Suns Burn on this channel. It's Twitch.tv's premier magical soap opera. It's great. There's crying last episode. It was wonderful. And yeah, that's all I've got going on. I think as far as favorite moments go, I loved the wings. I love dramatic character reveals like that. So I'm like, this is good.
It was fantastic. I was wondering when that would come up, and I'm so glad it happened in this one, because it's now like we as an audience know, and then everyone else isn't gonna know, and it's so good. Fantastic. And then, of course, last but absolutely not least, Corey.
Oh, my name is Corey Hickson. I am on Twitter with the same name. I'm also on As the Suns Burns. I will not be there next Saturday because of both narrative and life things that I'm busy with. So that's going on. And then also on Sundays, we have Fight for What You Believe with Maria, which was super cool. We started it last night, and it was just a really great session. I quite enjoyed it. And yeah, that's me.
Yay. Do you have a favorite moment or anything?
I do. I had the same favorite moment, the bat wings of being like, and I was like, it was all very dramatic. I liked it. Yeah. Cool.
Yay. I don't know. Did you say a favorite? Did you have a favorite moment, Tim? I don't know if we just like brush over that.
I really like how you did Silas, because I know we had talked about him briefly. Was not expecting that, and I love it.
Yay.
I love it when like DMs take some of the backstory and just take it off in way I wasn't expecting. Like, so.
Hooray. Yeah, I kind of pictured him as this like super sleazeball, kind of like in one of the two newer Star Wars movie. I don't remember which one he shows in, that the double crossing bounty hunter.
Oh, DJ.
Yeah. Kind of in that route. He just seemed like a sleazeball to me, so that's how he came out. But hey, I'm Maria. I'm at Happy Gapster all over the place. I could do things like this on Monday nights. A good point of note, though, next week we will be taking a week off because I'm going to be doing in real life stuff and will not be near a computer to do these sorts of things. But support other people, do beautiful things, love each other immensely. Besides this, I feel like I'm doing everything else. Sundays are very packed these days. I play in Monster Hearts at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where I play Nadia, who is just the best, wonderful, most best person ever. And then directly after that, I play in Fight for What You Believe, that good old Burning Wheel, where I'm also not a great person, but for different reasons. And gonna be starting up Project VHS soon on Thursday nights at the end of the month, which is, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be so wonderful. I'm very excited for that. Anything else that I happen to pop in, just check my socials. I'll be everywhere. I'm doing too much, and it's great, and I love it. Sleep is for the weak. But this has been lovely. This has been wonderful. You all are fantastic storytellers, and I'm very, very happy that you all joined in this wonderful thing. If there are mods who can raid, if anybody is around to raid, I would love to throw all of our... That would be wonderful. I would love to throw us all to someone who is also doing lovely things this late at night.
Okay, let's see. There's Open for Adventure. I don't actually know them, though. So
Oh, I love those. They're great.
Okay, cool.
Cool.
Let's
We're
do
gonna
them.
go do that. So stick around for the raid if you can. If not, if it's late for you like it is for me, then go sleep. Know that we love you very, very much. Love each other. Good night. Until next week. Goodbye.